The human retribution armada emerged from slip space like a constellation forged by intention rather than cosmic accident. Thousands of vessels, sleek, silent, predatory, glided into formation around the flagship Astra Ultima. Their hulls shimmered with star steel, absorbing the distant glow of a blue giant that illuminated the void like a frozen sun. Admiral K.O. Roven stood at the forward viewport, hands clasped behind his back. Before him stretched the Carthos Expanse, the first sector of the Varan Dominion to fall under human scrutiny in 60 millennia. The quiet hum of the ship's systems vibrated beneath his boots, familiar and grounding. "Admiral," said Commander Arya Salas from the tactical station. "Long-range scans confirm 3 Varan patrol ships on approach. They've detected us." Kale didn't move. "How long until contact?" 2 minutes. The bridge crew held a silent tension, though none displayed fear. They were the product of generations raised with the memory of a world they had never seen. Earth lived in their blood, in their songs, in the morning rites whispered across the void. That weight built steel in the human spine. Kale finally turned from the viewport. "Prepare first contact protocols." Arya lifted an eyebrow. "Diplomatic? Stating facts isn't diplomacy," he said. "It's clarity." The Varan patrol vessels approached in a triangular strike pattern. Their hulls bristled with cold angles and bone-white armor, like the carapace of some ancient predator. Their comm channels flared with encrypted signals, but the ship's quantum decryptor cracked them instantly. A guttural voice filled the bridge speakers. "Unidentified fleet, you are entering restricted Dominion territory. Identify yourselves." Kale motioned for the transmission to remain audio only. "Open channel." Arya nodded. "Channel open." Kale's voice carried the controlled resonance of a man who understood the gravity of his words. "This is Admiral K.O. Roven of the Human Ascendancy." Silence followed. Not confusion, shock. Then a panicked hiss erupted from the speakers. "Impossible. Humanity is extinct. Your species was eradicated by decree of the Dominion 60,000 years ago," Kale finished. "We remember the date." Arya's eyes held a glint of something fierce. The bridge crew straightened. The Varan officer sputtered, momentarily unable to articulate. "State your purpose." Kale stepped closer to the comm panel. "We have returned to retrieve what was stolen. Knowledge. Justice. Our place among the stars." The Varan voice cracked. "You will not proceed." "They intend to fire," Arya said. "Weapons charging." Kale didn't need to give the order. The patrol ships launched plasma lances, bright streaks of turquoise heat slicing through the dark. The Astra Ultima didn't evade. It didn't need to. The ship's gravitic shield shimmered, bending the energy into harmless spirals that dissipated like mist. The Varan's second volley met the same fate. K.O. raised a hand. "Disable them." Arya executed the command. A ripple of compressed gravity burst from the Astra Ultima, washing over the Varan ships. Their engines sputtered, weapons went dark, and their chassis froze in place as though held by invisible chains. 3 warships, immobilized in seconds. A junior officer whispered. "Sir, they can't move." "That was the point," Kale said softly. "We're not here to slaughter border scouts." Arya's jaw tightened. She hid it well, but Kale noticed a flicker of disagreement. Mercy didn't sit easily within her. Not after a lifetime of hearing how Earth fell. Kale tapped the console. "Transmit message?" "What message, Admiral?" Arya asked. "The truth." He looked at each member of his bridge crew. The gravity in his expression steadied them. "Begin broadcast." A soft chime acknowledged the order. Kale spoke into the vast emptiness between stars, voice deliberate and clear. "To the Dominion, we are human. We survived your fires. We endured your erasure. And we have returned." He paused. "Remember what you did, because we never forgot." The message pulsed outward in all directions, encoded to pierce every Dominion relay. Faint lights on the tactical display marked each transmission node as it received the signal. Like falling dominoes across the galaxy. Kale turned to Arya. Plot course to the Carthos relay outpost. Yes, Admiral, she said, though tension lingered in her stance. As the fleet accelerated, the bridge returned to a focused calm. Officers exchanged data, monitored engine cycles, and analyzed Varan responses. Nothing hostile yet, only confusion and fear. Arya approached Kale quietly. Permission to speak openly? Always. You gave them time to react. The Dominion might mobilize entire armadas because of that message. Swift destruction would have prevented that. Kale studied her, noting the rigid set of her shoulders. Arya, we're not here to mirror what was done to us. If we're going to build a future, it can't begin with extermination. Mercy didn't save our world, she replied. No, Kale said, voice low. But cruelty won't rebuild it. Arya didn't argue further, but the fire in her eyes hinted the conversation was far from over. Moments later, the navigation officer called out. Entering Carthos boundary. No Varan resistance detected. Odd, Arya muttered. The Dominion is never passive. Kale shared her unease. The Dominion's reputation was brutality wrapped in unwavering discipline. Silence was rarely their tactic. Admiral, the sensor officer said. We're detecting a transmission spike deeper within the sector. It's being routed to the Dominion core. Put it on screen. The central display lit with a series of Varan glyphs, an emergency signal. The meaning was unmistakable even without translation. High threat alert, Arya concluded. They know it's us. Kale watched the cascading warnings, his face unreadable. Let them prepare. We didn't come to hide in their shadows. The fleet cut across the expanse, engines burning with quiet determination. Kale looked once more at the stars beyond the viewport. Somewhere on one of those distant worlds, the ruins of Earth's killers were stirring. Humanity had awakened in ancient fear. The first step of their return had been taken. The next would shake the Dominion to its core. The Varan Core Command Station trembled under alarms that pulsed like the heartbeat of a dying leviathan. Crimson lights streaked across the obsidian walls as servitors and officers scurried in synchronized panic. Nothing like this had happened in centuries, a fleet appearing from nowhere, impossible in the Dominion's calculations, bearing the mark of humanity itself. Emperor Varicthlin leaned forward, his clawed hands gripping the polished obsidian console. The prophecy chamber behind him glimmered with glyphs older than recorded memory, glowing faintly as if aware of the turmoil. They are alive, hissed the high-ranking counselor, scales rippling with tension. Extinct species yet. Do not finish that thought, Varric interrupted, voice low and lethal. Extinction is irrelevant now. They have returned, and they are not the humans we knew. They are weapons. They are fire. And they are coming for us. A servant projected the tactical readouts. Ships, hundreds strong, moved with terrifying precision. The Dominion fleet, superior in numbers, faltered in hesitation. Every formation, every algorithm calculated against centuries-old strategies, collapsed when faced with unpredictability. Varric's eyes glimmered in the dim light. He turned to the council. Mobilize everything. Engage the defense arrays. Activate the Sunder Protocol. Humanity will not cross our borders unchallenged. One of the younger commanders, trembling, hissed, My lord, our scouts, they are immobilized. The human flagship, their gravitic systems. Know your place, Varric snapped. Every calculation that predicts us as the dominant species is a lie. Humanity may be extinct in history, but in prophecy, they are the storm we have feared. Far beyond the Varan core, Admiral Kale's fleet sliced through the void like a blade forged from star steel. Sensor readings confirmed the Dominion's panic. Ships shifted positions, hesitated in corridors of gas and debris, unsure of how to respond. Humanity had become the unexpected vector of fear across the galaxy. Kale stood on the bridge of the Astra Ultima, observing the tactical display. They're reorganizing, he said. We'll have their response patterns within 5 cycles. Prepare boarding teams for Star Citadel Korath. Admiral, Arya interjected. The Citadel is heavily fortified. Surface defenses are designed to withstand orbital bombardments. They'll kill thousands if we assault it directly. Kale nodded, eyes fixed on the map. Thousands already died once, Arya. This is different. We strike with precision, not chaos. The Citadel holds their command, and if we take it intact, we gain more than territory, we gain information. The tension in her posture didn't soften. And if we fail? Failure is extinction, he said simply. We do not fail. The first human strikes landed with precision surgical in their execution. Boarding pods, sleek as falling stars, pierced the orbital shields, bypassing missile arrays and energy turrets. The Dominion's automated defense drones activated, but they were met with AI-driven countermeasures. Every calculated move the Dominion relied upon unraveled within moments. Inside Korath, the Varan defenders reacted too slowly. Humans disembarked in armored exocets, moving in formation, unflinching. They swept corridors with calculated efficiency. Plasma blades and particle rifles neutralized resistance, but Kale had ordered no unnecessary killing. Prisoners were restrained and interrogated, intelligence gathered at the speed of thought. Kale entered the main command hub, the vast room humming with dormant consoles and flickering holoscreens. The air smelled of ozone and fear. Varan officers were already restrained, their scales glistening, eyes wide with disbelief. One hissed, You are extinct! How? Kale leaned down, his voice a measured coldness. We survived. We adapted. And now we've returned. Arya approached Kale with a tablet of recovered intelligence. The Citadel stores extensive records. They attempted to justify the eradication of Earth as preemptive security. Lies, all of it. They falsified transmissions, blamed humanity for actions we never committed. Kale's jaw tightened. They never considered the truth. That is what made them killers. Arya's expression hardened. Some of us might argue the same about your restraint here. These Varans are liars and murderers. They should pay fully for what they did. Kale met her gaze. And that is why we do not let anger dictate our actions. Justice is not fire. It is the balance that ensures we survive beyond vengeance. She paused, staring at him with the intensity of someone who had seen her entire worldview challenged in a single decision. You really believe that, don't you? I have to, Kale replied. Because if we do not, humanity risks becoming the very monsters we are here to stop. Back aboard the Astra Ultima, sensors detected a massive spike. Varicthun himself had activated a fleet of dreadnoughts. Ships the size of cities moved from the Dominion's core toward the Karthos sector. The Ashclaw-class superweapon, rumored for centuries, had entered the calculations of humanity's survival. Arya's voice cut through the tense silence. Admiral, the Ashclaw is en route. It's capable of destroying entire planets. Our fleet won't survive a direct engagement. Kale's expression remained unreadable. Then we make it a war of shadows, speed, and precision. The Citadel is only the beginning. Draw them out, expose their weaknesses, and we strike where it hurts most. He turned to the crew, voice firm, commanding yet steady. Humanity does not retreat. We adapt. We endure. We rise from the ashes of a world they thought lost forever. Remember that. Execute your duties. Every life here matters. Every action shapes our return. A chorus of acknowledgments followed. The bridge hummed with energy and resolve. Arya stepped aside, muttering under her breath. Mercy may cost us everything. Kale did not respond. His eyes remained on the holographic map, tracing the Dominion's fleet movement, anticipating every angle, every misstep. Humanity's return was no accident. It was evolution, strategy, and memory wrapped in the steel of starships and resolve of hearts hardened by loss. Nightfall did not exist in space, but the darkness beyond the viewport pressed close, vast and unknowable. Yet the lights of the human retribution armada glimmered against the void like a promise. A promise that death could not erase, that history could not bury, that fear itself could not withstand. And in the shadows of that darkness, the Dominion shivered. The first chapter of humanity's vengeance had concluded. The second, however, had only just begun. The galaxy had witnessed the impossible. Humanity was back. And no one, not even a god king, would underestimate it again. The corridors of Korath were silent now, save for the hum of life support systems and the quiet clatter of human boots on alloy flooring. The Citadel's Varan prisoners were confined, their eyes wide with disbelief, but Kael Rovin's thoughts were far from relief. There was work to do, and questions to answer. "Admiral," Arya said, stepping beside him, her voice low. "We've decrypted portions of the Dominion archives. The data is extensive." Kael didn't look up. "How extensive?" "Enough to rewrite our understanding of Earth's destruction," she replied. Her hand hovered over the holographic interface, flicking panels into view. Star charts, transmission logs, military orders. Every record painted a picture of cold calculation, lies, and fear-driven decisions. Kael's eyes scanned the first file, Operation Purge, Terra. The words felt like acid, but the truth was unavoidable. They attacked because they feared potential, not because Earth posed a threat. Fear was the justification for genocide. Arya's jaw tightened. "We've spent millennia perfecting weapons to annihilate them. If we act without restraint, we become what they were." Kael leaned on the console, voice steady but heavy. "Exactly why restraint is harder than rage." The Varan prisoners hissed from their containment cells, their fear palpable even through barriers. One of them, a young officer, muttered in Varan. A translation overlay flickered into human speech. "You are like demons returned from hell." Kael didn't flinch. "We are human," he said simply. "And we are not demons." Meanwhile, deep in the expanse, sensors detected an ominous spike. The Ashclaw-class superweapon had moved closer to Carthos, its immense energy signature a warning to anyone who dared approach. Arya's face paled as she interpreted the data. "They're preparing for planetary-scale bombardment. Entire colonies could be erased if we don't act," she said. Kael's gaze remained fixed on the holographic map. "We won't give them that chance. We'll draw the Ashclaw out, exploit its limitations, and neutralize it without losing billions of innocents." Arya's voice was sharp now. "And if we fail?" Kael didn't hesitate. "Then humanity becomes extinct a second time. And no one will remember our name." Tensions within the fleet simmered. Some officers whispered of preemptive strikes, advocating total destruction to prevent any possible counterattack. Among them, Arya herself struggled with the philosophy she had once sworn to uphold. In private, she began preparing a contingency, a weapon capable of erasing the Dominion star systems entirely, a weapon Kael had not authorized. Late in the artificial night cycle, Kael convened a strategy session. Holographic projections of the Dominion fleets rotated above the table, each point representing ships, stations, and critical assets. "Every action we take must be surgical," Kael said. "The Ashclaw will not wait for diplomacy. But neither will I allow humanity to descend into vengeance without reason. We are better than that." One of the senior officers, Lieutenant Commander Ree, raised a concern. "Sir, with all due respect, there are citizens under Dominion control. If we hesitate, millions die." Kael's eyes sharpened. "And if we act without thought, billions will die. Justice is precision, Ree, not fury." The council nodded, but the tension lingered like a storm cloud. Kael knew some were already questioning him. Some even feared he was too soft, too hesitant to strike as the righteous fury of humanity demanded. Hours later, Kael and Arya descended to the captured Citadel's archives. Massive doors slid open, revealing a cavernous library filled with floating holorecords, data orbs, and centuries of encoded files. The air smelled faintly of ozone and decay, remnants of centuries-old machinery still alive with energy. Kael touched one of the archives, and a hologram sprang to life, scenes of Earth centuries ago. Cities, forests, oceans, images of a world that had been erased by Dominion fear and preemptive strikes. Civilians, diplomats, and scientists, all gone in a calculated instant. He swallowed, gripping the console tightly. This is worse than we imagined." Arya's voice was barely a whisper. And yet some still speak of mercy. Can mercy exist after this? Kale looked at her, calm but resolute. Mercy is the line between who we are and what they wanted us to become. If we cross it, the Dominion's memory becomes our legacy. Meanwhile, in secret, Arya activated a dormant system aboard the Astra Ultima. A weapon unlike any previously deployed, a weapon capable of annihilating star systems in moments. Her fingers danced across the controls, concealing the activity from Kale and most of the fleet. Her vision was clear. If the Ash Claw activated, humanity would have the power to respond without compromise. But the morality of her choice gnawed at her. Was it justice or vengeance she sought? Back in the archives, Kale discovered communications between Dominion leaders, false intelligence, lies designed to justify Earth's destruction. Diplomats had been silenced, warnings ignored. Humanity had never been the aggressor. He pressed a hand to his face, jaw tight. They lied to themselves to hide fear. And they murdered because fear cannot reason. Arya, watching him, said softly, "And now they will fear again. But the question is, will they learn?" Kale didn't answer immediately. He knew the answer wasn't simple. Humanity had evolved, yes, but the evolution was fragile. Anger, vengeance, and grief were dangerous tools in the wrong hands. He turned to leave the archives. Prepare the fleet. The Ashclaw moves? We'll need to lure it out and neutralize it. This isn't about revenge. This is about survival. Arya nodded silently, hiding her own plan beneath her uniform. The shadows of genocide were no longer just a distant memory, they were a potential within humanity itself. As they departed, Kale paused at the threshold of the archives. His gaze lingered on the images of Earth, burning and silent. We carry their memory, he murmured. Not as fuel for hatred, but as a guide. One misstep, and we become the monsters history warned us about. Beyond the citadel, the stars stretched endlessly, indifferent to human struggles. Yet Kale knew that the return of humanity had altered the balance forever. The Dominion would respond, the Ash Claw would fire, and lives would be lost, but the path they chose now would define the next chapter of the galaxy. And in that darkness, one truth remained, the shadow of genocide loomed, not just over their enemies, but within themselves. The Ash Claw loomed like a jagged mountain of black steel against the stars, its immense energy coils glowing with lethal intent. Entire planets would tremble under its fire. The Dominion's ultimate weapon, built to erase worlds, now moved toward the Karthos sector with a precision born of centuries of fear-driven calculation. Admiral Kale Rovan stood on the bridge of the Astra Ultima, observing the looming behemoth through reinforced star glass. The fleet was arrayed in silent formation, engines humming, weapons primed, every officer aware that the next hours could decide the fate of humanity. "Admiral," Arya said, voice tight. "It's larger than our estimates. Full engagement is suicidal." Kale's jaw tightened. "We don't fight it head-on. That's the mistake the Dominion expects. We board it. We take the core. Disable the weapon at its source." A murmur rippled through the tactical crew. Boarding the Ash Claw was near suicidal. The Dominion had layered every corridor, every chamber, with traps, weapons, and energy fields. But Kale's resolve was absolute. "Prepare the boarding pods," he ordered. "Select the best teams. I'm going personally." Arya hesitated. "Sir, that's—" "I've survived worse," Kale interrupted. "And someone must confront Varric Thun himself." The boarding pods streaked toward the Ash Claw like streaks of silver fire. The Dominion's defenses opened fire, plasma lances and particle arrays lancing across space. Human countermeasures bent the energy with gravitic shields and subspace scramblers, neutralizing most attacks before impact. Kale's pod docked with the main hangar bay. Airlocks hissed open, and he led his team inside. The corridors were dimly lit, alive with the hum of unimaginable power. Energy conduits pulsed along walls like veins feeding a monstrous heartbeat. "Stay sharp," Kale warned. "Every step, every sound could be a trap." The Varan defenders were waiting. Armored, ruthless, and desperate, they surged through the corridors. Humans responded with calculated efficiency. Plasma rifles, grav blades, and coordinated movements that left the Dominion stunned. Casualties were minimized, but Kale knew every strike carried the weight of the lives lost to the Dominion's earlier genocide. Finally, they reached the core chamber. A massive, cathedral-like space, the center dominated by the Ashclaw's energy nexus. Varric awaited, perched upon a dais, eyes glowing with fury and fear. His claws flexed, and his voice echoed through the chamber. "You dare enter my throne, human? You should have stayed extinct." Kale stepped forward, unflinching. "We are human. We endured your fires. We survived your lies. And now we end this." Varric hissed, summoning energy into his claws. "You are nothing. I am the Dominion. The galaxy itself bends to my will." Kale's hand hovered over his plasma blade, the hum resonating through the chamber. "Power without wisdom is meaningless. And fear is a poor ruler." The duel began. Blades clashed, energy rippling across the chamber. Varric was a skilled warrior, relentless and brutal, but Kale's years of strategy and discipline gave him an edge. Each strike Kale delivered was precise, intended to disable without unnecessary cruelty. The duel was not just physical, it was a test of will, philosophy, and the weight of history. During the fight, Kale gained the upper hand. Varric energy flickered, his attacks slowing. Kale disarmed him, pressing the plasma blade to the alien's throat. "End it," Varric hissed, chest heaving. "Kill me. It's your right." Kale's grip tightened, but he paused. "No." Varric eyes narrowed. "Mercy? After all they've done?" Kale's voice was firm. "Mercy is not weakness. It is the measure of what we are, not what they were. I will not become the monster that destroyed Earth." The Ashclaw's core shuddered violently, warning that time was short. Kale signaled Arya and the boarding teams to disable the weapon. Using precise commands and synchronized operations, the humans infiltrated the control panels, rewired systems, and shut down the energy nexus. The Ashclaw, a weapon designed to erase worlds, fell silent. Arya approached Kale as the crew secured the chamber. "Sir, the fleet is holding. The Dominion forces are in disarray. We've neutralized the Ashclaw without mass casualties." Kale nodded, glancing at Varric now restrained. "This is the moment. Humanity's return is defined not by revenge, but by choice. What we do next sets the precedent for centuries." He turned to the fleet communications. "Broadcast a message to every Dominion system: the humans are back. We have returned, not to erase, but to survive. We are guardians of our history, protectors of our future, and our mercy is deliberate. Remember that." The message pulsed through subspace, reaching every corner of the Dominion. Planets paused, fleets halted, and the Varan hierarchy was forced to confront a truth they had long denied: humanity was not extinct. Humanity was ascendant. Later, on the bridge of the Astra Ultima, Kale convened the council. Varan prisoners were accounted for. The Ashclaw was disabled. Humanity had survived the ultimate test. Arya, still tense, spoke quietly. "Sir, the contingency I prepared, the weapon capable of total destruction, was ready. If you hadn't stopped me, billions would have died." Kale met her gaze, steady and unwavering. "And then we would have become what we swore to stop. That is why we rise, Arya. Not from vengeance. Not from fear. But from memory, discipline, and the determination to be better." She swallowed, nodding slowly. For the first time in decades, she understood the meaning of his restraint. In the following cycles, humanity began rebuilding, not just its fleet, but its moral foundation. Varric and the surviving Dominion leaders were placed under strict oversight. Territories were stabilized, communications reopened, and a fragile peace began to emerge. Kale looked out at the stars from the flagship's viewport. Each point of light represented a system, a life, a memory. Humanity had returned from ash, survived millennia of exile, and now held the galaxy's gaze. he whispered, more to himself than anyone else. We are human. We endure. And we rise from ruin, not to destroy but to survive. And the universe will remember that. The stars seemed to shimmer in response. For 60,000 years, humanity had been a ghost, whispered in legends and feared in prophecy. Now they were real. Now they were unstoppable. The galaxy had been reminded, extinction does not define a species. Survival does. And humanity had survived.